I'm absolutely delighted to be joined here by Tristram Yarde-Leavett of Tourwise, which is the body which contracts and operates tours in the UK and Ireland for the Globus family of brands. Tristram has been working for Globus for many years, but we'll discuss that in a minute. And Globus, of course, is one of the, together with its sister brand Cosmos, is one of the leading escorted tour operators in Europe. And I'm absolutely delighted Tristram can join us. Tristram, tell me a little bit about Globus, Tourwise, and how long you've been working there.
Well, I've been working for the company since September 1987, 23rd of September 1987 to be sure. So I go back a long way, and so that's, I think it's 32 years with the company, which is a long time, even by Globus standards. So my role is to run the London operation for Globus and Cosmos. We have a company called, well, actually technically it's called Cosmos Tours Limited. And I'm the MD of that particular part of the business, and our job is to plan, operate and contract everything for Globus and Cosmos in the UK and Ireland.
And is most of what you do escorted tours, or do you have any FIT programs?
We have a small bit of we have a brand called Monograms, which is slightly more FIT than normal touring. It's really a product based for individuals as opposed to groups. But the majority of our business is standard coach tours. We have numerous itineraries. I forget exactly how many, over 20 different itineraries around the UK and Ireland. Some focusing on just Scotland, some just Ireland, some just England, and plenty of itineraries that do a combination of those in some form.
Globus is obviously a European brand, and I imagine you also have quite a lot of responsibility operating tours which have London as a gateway to Europe, both Europe as a whole and multi-city states like London and Paris.
Sure. Probably our biggest selling combination of any product that we have is London-Paris. It's still extremely popular. But yeah, I just deal with the UK and Ireland for the company. There's a huge operation based in Lugano in Switzerland that deals with the rest of Europe. So I'm just a small cog in a huge machine. So the contracting and the planning and the operating for everything outside of the UK and Ireland is done in Switzerland rather than here. And then, of course, the company has lots of business going on in North America as well. There's a very extensive tour program going on there. And Australasia and New Zealand and Southeast Asia and South America. So it's really a global company. Yeah.
And I mean, you say it's mainly escorted tours. I mean, principally, are your tours just driven by drivers, or do they have tour managers, tour directors on board?
Yeah, we have tour directors. We have tour directors and a driver. So the coaches sell up to 44 people, and we have a tour director traveling with them and a separate driver. Yes.
44 is quite a small number on a coach. I mean, people go up to 50, 55, even 60 on a 15-meter coach. Have you chosen to restrict that number down?
Yeah, we have. Now, when I joined the company many years ago, we were selling up to 48 people on a coach, and the single biggest complaint in those days was the lack of legroom on a coach. Now, of course, the coaches have got longer. Our clients probably have got larger at the same time, but nonetheless, we do have plenty of legroom on all the coaches, and we deliberately don't sell every seat on the coach. So it's now a very comfortable experience compared to perhaps how it might have been in the past with the shorter coaches and more seats and more people. So,
and I think people who are outside the escorted bubble probably underestimate quite how much fun it is actually to have a group of people who are interacting whilst they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I must say, I think our sector of the industry is perceived as being very unsexy. You know, a coach tour, people have certain perceptions about coach tours, but having traveled on many, as indeed you have, Tom, having traveled on many myself and seeing the fun that people have interacting with others, they really do enjoy it. And sure, it's not for everybody, but a lot of people choose to go on a coach tour, not just because the value is that we're able to achieve by taking groups as opposed to smaller groups or individuals, but it's just meeting people as well and having that fun. They recognize that, sure, the disadvantage perhaps of a coach tour is that you have lack of, by definition almost, you have a lack of personal freedom, in the sense that you don't decide where you go specifically on any one day. It's part of the itinerary. But the trade-off there is that you meet fun people, and yeah, we have plenty of examples of people that have really enjoyed themselves so much they keep coming back and coming back and coming back. We had one client I discovered that was on their 29th Globus tour last year. So yeah, plenty of people that are real coach touring addicts.
I mean, so you really think that an escorted tour is more than the sum of its parts? I mean, do you try and create a specific Globus atmosphere on board the coach?
So we have a fantastic team within the UK and Ireland, and the same is replicated on the continent. Fantastic teams of tour directors that have worked for the company for a very long time. I mean, we have, it sounds awful, we have two that have worked, in fact, sorry, four that have worked for over 40 years for the company. I gave awards this year to two of them. And believe it or not, they are not particularly old. I mean, they're still in their 60s, these four. But they started with the company very young. And we have this very strong bond within the tour guide fraternity. And they've kind of grown up with the company as well. They are not people, many years ago, people would come and be a tour guide for a season or two to fill in while they waited to get a perhaps more permanent or a sensible job. But then the people that are still working for us now, they find that they love it and they really get a kick out of it, and it suits their lifestyle. And so people that started in their 20s, in fact, we have one guy still working for us who did his first tour when he was 18, and he's now approaching his, I think he must be 38 or 39 years. So we have plenty of people that have kind of grown up with the company. So looking after the culture of the company, we would feel that we have truly excellent partners that we work with. I'm thinking here particularly not just the tour guides, but also the coach companies and their very valuable contribution that they play, not only in providing the coach itself, but also the drivers. We spend a lot of time working with the drivers, ensuring they understand exactly what it is that we're after and our culture. And again, we have plenty of drivers that have worked with us, even though they're not our employees. They've worked on Globus or Cosmos tours for many years. So there's the coaching side, there's the hotel side as well. Very long-standing contracts with many hotels. Yeah, we do feel that our hotel portfolio that we use is the very best within our sector of the industry. So it's difficult, Tom, to put your finger on what it is exactly within Globus, but we like to do things the right way. We know we want to look after the clientele. That is the most important thing. Without our clients, then we're nothing, as we're finding out this year. And then, you know, we have plenty of partners that work very closely with us. To be fair, a lot of them feel that they are Globus and Cosmos. They are part of what we do because they work with us for so long. The most popular attraction or feature that we have on any of our itineraries in my part of the world is a place called Rathbun Farm in Ireland. Now, this is quite interesting because it was set up by an industry legend, Jimmy Murphy, who owned and operated Brendan Tours many years. And he was an American living in California, but he had his heart in his birthplace of Ireland. And he wanted to design an attraction that appealed to American clientele, specifically to American clientele. And what he did, he bought a ramshackle old farm just outside of Galway, 25 minutes outside of Galway, called Rathbun Farm. And he set it up as an attraction on initially Brendan tours, but now it's exclusively for Globus tours. And it's run by this most fantastic lady called Frances Thompson, who is a right Irish character. What happens, well, I should describe the farm itself. The farmhouse has been done up and redeveloped, but in a very, very sympathetic way. It's still a typical Irish farmhouse with thatch and stable doors and a fireplace with peat and all this sort of thing. So we have her as a character, and her kind of, she refers to him as a work husband, Fintan. He looks after the farm bit and she looks after the farmhouse bit. So Fintan takes the people into the farm bit, where they see numerous breeds of sheep sitting there quietly smiling away as the group walks past them. And every group will see a sheep being sheared. And then they watch as Fintan's dog, I can't remember what the latest dog's called, but as Fintan's dog round up a flock of sheep from the field and push them into the pen. Actually, they might do this 2 or 3 times a day. So actually, the sheep voluntarily send themselves to the pen, and the dog is rather redundant quite often. But the clients love it, absolutely love it. Then after they do that, they go into the farmhouse, and initially the groups that we first had would just have a cup of tea in the farmhouse with Frances, and she'd do the old Irish chat and explain what it was like in rural Ireland back in the day. But then we started to develop scone making. So with quite a few of the groups, when they arrive, they make scones with her, and then they go and do the sheep bit with Fintan. Then they come back, and when they come back, they have a cup of tea and scones with Frances that they had made earlier. So Rathbun Farm, they love it, absolutely love it.
And it's the point is that's a unique and special experience, which is what we're trying to provide, I suppose, and everyone is trying to provide.
Absolutely. So it's not. I mean, it's unique and it's hands-on. It's ticking all the boxes really, because the clients love to interact with local people. That is one of the things that we are successfully trying to achieve on a number of our itineraries. Because in the past, maybe the opportunity to meet stymied, so to the point where they could probably only meet people that were in the hotels. That was their most common opportunity to meet people in local towns. So what they really wanted to do is chat to the locals and find out what life was really like, and they certainly find that out with Frances and her team of ladies that help with the tea there. But yeah, it's something that we've got a number of other examples of that sort of thing, interacting with the locals, experiencing something that is truly unique to a local area.
And I think talking of experiencing tourism, we are obviously facing an unprecedented crisis in the industry. I mean, we're talking at the moment about what things are like when things are normal. Things are not normal at the moment. And I'm just pondering, you don't have to say this, I will say this on your behalf. I think I think every escorted tour operator is facing a decline in business, which is effectively total. We hope to see some tours moving in late September and October, but that is hopeful rather than realistic, I think. What do you think the prospects are for next year? Do you think there's latent demand for next year that will come in, or do you think people will still be frightened? Do you have any evidence for optimism?
There is, actually. Here we are, we're talking at the beginning, the first week of July, and we're talking, or I'm in London, and my experience is the UK. And it's hard for us right now to be too optimistic unless you look in certain directions. I mean, our key market is the US, and they have a particularly difficult time right now. But there are certain glimmers out there, Tom, that we're seeing. We know that people want to travel. I mean, that's a cliche within our industry at the moment. And you could say that's more in hope than expectation, but I'm convinced that people want to travel. A number of the travel businesses like ours have offered our clients the opportunity instead of traveling this year, to defer it until next year. The number that have deferred to next year has been very pleasing, and that kind of gives us the optimism that really they are prepared to delay it for a year, maybe 2 years before they come again. And the other thing, Tom, I mean, we've both been around for a long time. We've seen these things come and go. Sure, we've never seen anything like this, but we've seen 9/11 and SARS, and all sorts of issues over the years. And we know business comes back, and it comes back bigger and better. So there is no doubt in my mind that we will be, not just us as a business, but us as an industry will be back bigger and better. The only question is when. And sure, I think we're going to have to face a tough time next year. It's not going to be straightforward at all. But gradually, bit by bit, we will get back to where we were in 2019, which for us was a fantastic year. We had a superb year, and it's hard to think it's only whatever it is, 10 months ago that we were just coming towards the end of one of our best years in the last 20 in terms of carrying. So it's definitely there. More and more people want to travel, even in normal circumstances. And given the fact that they haven't been able to travel for this year or for most of this year, I think there's every reason to be optimistic for next year. It'll be different, but we'll be back.
Are there any particular challenges for contracting at the moment? Because we've got, you've obviously signed up and put to bed most of 2021. I mean, are you changing things? It's probably a bit sensitive. Is this a bit sensitive? Could you say anything about your renegotiations for next year? Renegotiation is probably a dirty word, but because everything's up in the air, isn't it?
Yeah, no. So basically, we were probably 80% of the way through our hotel contracting for next year by the time this thing hit in the middle of March. So we had to stop our contracting and then restart it, basically. That's what we had to do because the game had changed and the world had changed. And it was a very difficult, delicate balance between being able to, I don't know, it's the wrong way of putting it, but to take advantage of the situation as a buyer, and yet we want to support the suppliers. That's the ultimate thing, is that we understand and understood very, very quickly that particularly the hotels and also the coach companies, they were going to be under severe pressure to accommodate the protocols that were going to come in. And inevitably, those pressures were going to be financial as well. The costs that they were going to be having to absorb, they're going to be immense. And so it would not have been right for us to go and say, well, we need to do everything we possibly can, and that includes adjusting the rates to the disadvantage of our suppliers. So it's a delicate balance. Sure, we want to get the best possible deal. And at the end of the day, there's another consideration that I always think about with this, is that when it opens up again, the whole world is going to open up more or less at the same time. So every country around the world is going to be out there scrapping for the business. And the consumer is going to have huge choice. And part of my job with looking after the UK and Ireland is to make sure that this particular part of the world is not disadvantaged in having pricing that's out of line. So all these things are in the mix. We want to support our suppliers while they have additional costs. We want to make sure that we get the best possible price that we can pass on to our clients and our consumers. And we want to make sure that we're correctly positioned as a region selling a destination in comparison to the rest of the world. So it's not been easy. It's not easy as we continue on, but we feel that we have positioned ourselves correctly. And we're very excited about launching our program for 2021 later on in the year.
With that, Tristram, I will leave it at that. I think it's been great talking to you.